My name is Mike, and in 2021, I moved into a small heritage rental home in the Cabbagetown district of Toronto. It was one of those narrow, Victorian brick houses, beautiful. But it always felt like the air inside was a few degrees colder than it should be. I was working long shifts at the hospital, so I usually came home tired, looking for nothing but sleep. But the house had other plans. It started with the neighbor in the attic. Every night at exactly 3:15 a.m., I'd hear the sound of someone dragging a heavy trunk across the floorboards directly above my bedroom. I called my landlord, thinking maybe a squatter had broken in, but when we went up there, the attic was empty. It wasn't just empty. The dust on the floor was undisturbed. There were no footprints, no trunk, nothing. He laughed it off and told me the house was just settling, but you don't hear. Rhythmic dragging and the sound of heavy breathing from a house settling. A week later, things turned physical. I was in the kitchen making coffee before a night shift when I felt a sudden, sharp pressure on my lower back. It felt like two small, cold hands were pushing me toward the stove. I stumbled forward, barely missing the hot burner. When I turned around, the kitchen was empty, but the cabinet doors were all standing wide open. Oh, why? I hadn't opened them. I stood there in the silence, and that's when I heard a child's giggle come from the darkened hallway. Before I tell you what I found under the floorboards that finally forced me to break my lease, make sure to hit that follow and like button. It helps me share these real-life encounters with people who know the truth. The final straw happened during a Zoom call for work. My camera was on, and my coworker suddenly stopped talking. Her face went pale, and she asked, "Mike, who is that behind you?" I turned around, nothing. But when she sent me the screenshot she'd taken, my blood ran cold. Standing in the doorway behind my chair was a tall, thin man in a dark suit with no face. He wasn't a blur. He was a solid black void in the shape of a person, leaning over as if he were whispering into my ear. I moved out the next morning. While I was packing, I dropped a heavy box, and one of the floorboards in the closet popped loose. Tucked inside the joist was a small, rusted tin box. Inside was a single black and white photograph of the man from the screenshot standing in front of that very house, holding the hand of a little girl who wasn't smiling. At the back, it simply said, "They won't let us leave." I left the photo on the counter and never looked back. I still live in Toronto, but I only rent brand new condos now. Some history isn't meant to be lived in.